What's up, everybody? So this is a special topic video, and I'm probably never going to do another video like this. So for those who know me, I'm going to dispel some of the rumors that I worked at Corner Magic and when I worked at Game Council. The Game Council part of the video is really short. If you're here for me to talk bad about like the people I worked for and with, that's not what this video is about. Both of the owners of both stores treated me well. They were great individuals. Both of them are family men. And then, if you're in South Carolina, go check out Game Council. It's a phenomenal store. I really love working there for the short time that I was able to. So let's get into it. Rumor number one, for everybody that has asked me and asked my coworker, who I'm gonna say B. Everybody who, y'all know who B is, the guy that wore the gray hoodie. I'm gonna keep my coworkers, former coworkers, privacy intact for this video. So the Power 9 was never kept in the store. I understand where this rumor came from. 4 million cards in singles. When I mean, there are cards that I didn't know existed. Like, case in point, let me see if I actually have it for you guys. I don't know how well I'm gonna edit this video, but, and for those of you who are seeing this video from Georgia, and I have these really old wild cards, you'll understand why. Let me see for you guys. Cards like, okay, that's one of them. I wonder. Oh, no, that's not it. That's not it. So, and this video is really going to explain a lot to you guys. And you don't have to, if you're just listening to this, you know, it's not going to be a lot of visuals. Here we go. Okay. So, the type of player I am. I started playing Pokemon, and I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And there's a flea market in Anderson County, South Carolina. And for those of you who don't know the area, this is the area that Chadwick Boseman, aka Black Panther, came from. So chances are I might have walked past him as a kid, who knows. So anyway, this is where I met the owner of Corner Magic. Corner Magic actually started at a flea market from a stand. It wasn't called Corner Magic. It was just called like Dave's Space. Well, that's what at least me and my brothers called it, and some of my friends. And you know, I saw he had like four or five tables of cards, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, and some Pokemon. There was another guy that had a little bit, and Dave basically ran him out of business out of sheer volume. And this is before he retired. Once he retired, he then started Corner Magic. So the original Corner Magic was a lot smaller, and he gave himself 6 months. And we had asked him, oh, you know, how did you think, you know, you were going to stay afloat? And he literally told me that me and my twin brother spent so much on Yu-Gi-Oh cards, we paid the rent for that store. Just the two of us. So he knew then when the new Yu-Gi-Oh set came out, we were gonna come, and we bought a lot. So anyway, so I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh 2009. We'll fast forward to 2019 when I decided to come back into playing card games after a really long break. But I still had like 2 standard decks at the time. So one of the older cards I had was Capsize. And then one day I am sorting cards, and then I see this. I didn't realize that Magic had gold border cards, and this Force of Will at the time was $50 versus the $100 at the time. So naturally, when I tell everybody, hey, I have a gold border instant in my deck that is a counter, most people are like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, and they see it's Force of Will. So seeing how it was Force of Will, and normally that all the gold border cards were put away, they were put away in a little dusty box somewhere on like a bottom shelf or whatever. And for those who don't know, Corner Magic had like a lot of big shelves. I'll probably like post up a photo or something so y'all can get some sort of idea what I'm talking about. So I found it and decided talk to the owner. Hey, well, most of the players that come play standard, play Commander and Modern. It's not a tournament, so these cards should be fine under Rule 0 Commander, so we started selling the cards. That's when someone had joked, oh, y'all probably have everything. No, this is a new customer. They're like, oh, wow, look at all these cards. And after a while, it's like, oh, yeah, we have everything. After a while, it's like, okay, you're new. It's nothing to me. So he comes in and he asks, how far do we have? And I said, we have cards from every set, which at the time, we do. This is around 2020, and this is when I was still a volunteer. I just wanted to volunteer to get out the house to help my friend out because he's in his he's in his 60s. So the guy comes in and he jokingly says, I want such card from Alpha. You know, he puts it on his little list. I go and I fulfill his order, and I come and I hand him the card from Alpha. And he's like, oh man, I know y'all got Black Lotus here. And I'm like, sir, we do not have Black Lotus. And the reason I know that is the box that was labeled Alpha and the box that was labeled Beta were next to each other. The amount of cards they had was about like that much. It was not that much of them in good condition. There were some others that were lying flat, but when I mean like they were like destroyed, they were destroyed. So that's where part of that rumor came from. Another came from, there was an individual who came in with his son and they were playing vintage. He's teaching his son how to play, and literally the guy plays Black Lotus, and I'm just like, oh wow. He's like, yeah, I've been playing the game on and off since it came out. I don't really know prices or anything, and it's not one of those newer cards that was, you know, people try to pass off as a Black Lotus. Like, I could legitimately tell that was a real one because he had little creases on it, the edge was worn. He had everything sleeved up. And he's playing his son who plays another Black Lotus. And this was, and the sad thing is, none of the Magic community was here to witness this. Some of the Yu-Gi-Oh players came and saw, oh, Black Lotus, that's cool, and walk off. Because if you play Yu-Gi-Oh your whole time, you don't really care, you know. So then, you know, I'm talking to the owner, the manager, she comes in. We're like, yeah, the guy played Black Lotus. We really were trying to get those cards off of him. The store had the means to do that. And he didn't want to trade it. Someone obviously overheard the conversation. Because I like to whisper stuff like this. The owner does not care. So it's like, okay, whatever. Then, on top of that, you know, some of the players would go to the owner's house sometimes. And they would play them. And then they would tell what was like in his personal collection. And personally, I never did that. It's like, that's his privacy. I'm not gonna tell what you have in his house. Did someone told me, oh, did you see this in his house? And I just look and I'm just like, you know, I've known this man since I was 8 years old. Why are you saying what he has in his personal collection? I don't know if what that person said was true, but it was annoying. And the last part of this rumor was I have a video on this channel where, I said we found a Black Lotus. I was in Columbia, South Carolina, 150 miles away. It was me and another guy who temporarily worked at the store, who we'll get into a little bit later in the video. And we happened to see the card. The guy had no idea what it was. He had stopped playing. He was getting back into the game. He had like a whole bunch of stuff. Like, he had maybe like 4 cases of on the table. And it was, I forget the name of the store. It's not the side deck. It was, I think it was Firefly. So I went to Firefly, which is this huge store in Columbia, and those people are great too. And they had like green walls. They have like Pokemon in the back, and then they follow Nintendo's doctrine of like no profanity, nothing, because it's child friendly store. So we were at Firefly, and the guy had Black Lotus, and I'm like, oh man, you need to put that like in a hard case. And he's like, hard case. And I said, that's worth a lot of money. He's like, oh, how much is it worth? Like $100? I'm like, no, it's higher than that. And he was like, oh, like 150? And I'm like, much higher. I'm like, you need to give out a bigger number. Because, his son was like, yeah, my dad, his son literally said, we found these in my dad's closet, and I wanted to learn this game. And I asked him, why'd you stop playing the game? And the man said, he started having kids. He put everything away and he focused on his family. Now, his kids are getting ready to go off to college. And I think the 10-year-old was his youngest son. And I'm not going to give his name, so don't even ask, because I am friends with him on Facebook, and I'm not going to tell you. But you know who you are. If you ever want to sell that card, I know a bunch of collectors. Let me know, and I'll hook you up. So that being said, we went to eBay, and I showed him how much these cards were going for. And in the first time in my life, I've never seen a Caucasian man go ghostly white. I was like, he legitimately did not know what he had. So I gave him a hard case. I was like, here, take this hard case. And I said, and I told him, because he also had a tomahawk, and I said, if I was you, I would put these up, and I would never take something else. I said, this is enough to send your kids to college money. He, in the video, it's still on my channel, he looked it up. This is why in this video, this man's hands is shaking. I think it'll grade 9 or above. I personally think that people would come to me before they went to PSA or whatever. Do you think I should grade this card? Should it be worth the $30? You know, these are very frugal people. A lot of the people who came into the store, they have money to burn, but they're just not going to spend anything. So they would ask me, and a lot of people, I'm glad you didn't send in some of your cards. Like, especially when they had those bends and those curves and the corners and that stuff, you'd waste $30 to get something that's a 4 or less. Some of the stuff I told people, you might get a 7 or 8. Y'all got 9s. I'm glad. I'm way more strict than PSA apparently, because part of my job was to look at the cards with a jeweler's loupe and, you know, really look at the card. And that's why, like, when I handle people's cards, my hands are so light, because playing Yu-Gi-Oh, you're dealing with expensive cardboard, which all this is. And you didn't want to bend somebody's stuff. That's why if I ever bent somebody's cards, y'all immediately see me pay cash for their card or replace it with the exact same rarity. And if it's a first edition card, I make sure it's first edition. I don't believe in, if I damage your stuff, it'd be like, oh well. No, I'm gonna replace your stuff. And I need to change the battery. Okay, as you might, if you're watching the clips, as you might know, I still have the original uncut video of this proof. So one day a customer comes in, and I did not do this as an employee, as a store. I did this on my own personal time, helping out a friend. So for those of you who don't know, and I think every other trading card game does this, stores are not allowed to sell current promos at all. You go slightly different, where you're not allowed to sell promos before like 3 years. So it's 2025. Any promo that's like 2020, 2021 is legal for sale. Anything like 23, 24, the store is not allowed to sell it. So the card in question was one of the new Harpy promos. And this gentleman, who was a whale customer, and when I mean whale, I mean he and his wife would spend a lot of money. He came in and he was mad. He comes up to me and he goes, John, I want to talk to you. And I'm just like, I felt like I was in trouble. It was like he used the dad voice on me. And he asked me about, you know, the agreement that stores have with Konami. And I told him, and I pulled it up, and he's like, well, are you allowed to send me promos? And I just told him what I just told you guys. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? And he told me he went to a store, he found a promo where the name stamp was messed up. So the indents of the letters was there, but the ink was not, which made it a misprint. And this is before the card quality of Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh dipped down, and it was still factory sealed. So he was angry about it. I told him, you can appeal to Konami, you can report. And I was like, okay, there's nothing I can do. Then one day, I happened to be near that store, Planet Comics. I'm gonna say the name. It was Planet Comics. It's in the video. Y'all know what you did. I had the proof. So I go in there, and in the video that I posted, I censored everybody's face. So you just see me, you see the person, but you don't know their face. So I went in there just to see if what this guy was told me was trash or not, because as a player, I've been ripped off by stores. I've been to stores who make you pay. They say they're an official tournament store, and they're not. The store in North Carolina, if I ever remember the name, I will make a video about that. And there's a reason why that store cannot become an OTS. You cannot have apparently you cannot have an outside seller selling cards in your store and be OTS. You have to sell them yourselves. But that's besides the point. So I go into Planet Comics, a store which I've been going to for years. And we're talking about the one in Anderson County. We're not talking about the one in Woodruff Road. Don't go harass anybody. I don't know who decided to sell this card. I just know it was not the regular employees. So if you go and you harass the regular employees, that's on your ass. That ain't on me. Don't go. That's on you. And this is my freedom of speech. So I go in there and I decide, I'm still going to buy something. I go and I buy something. And since I'm buying official sealed Konami product, even though it's old, I was entitled to get a promo. So the guy started looking at the promos, and I'm looking, and I see the Misfit promo, and I go, well, let me get that one. Well, we can't get that one. And I was like, but it's a promo. You can't sell it. He's like, well, upper management said that was up for sale. They had this card on sale for $300. Not $30, not $25, $300. And I looked at the rest of them, and none of them was misprinted. So I said, okay. So I took my promo and I left. Because I know several level 2 Yu-Gi-Oh judges who actually knew people who started working for Konami. I did the report. I made up the email. I posted the link, and then I sent it to the proper people that I need to send to. Now, y'all can say, oh, you're full of shit, blah, blah, blah. But the people who were asking, why is Planet Comics not an OTS anymore? This is this incident. So, on YouTube, when you private a video, there's an option to where the only people that can watch a video is if they have the link. I did not send that link to nobody but myself. I watched it one time on the back end to make sure everything flowed right. Then I watched it personally. This video, so they gave it 2 views. I left this video alone for like a month and a half. I didn't even look at it. I went back to running other YouTube channels, helping people out, doing my job. Then one day, I'm scrolling through some of my videos because I had like a copyright strike on something. Someone was trying to take my music. That video I had sent to Konami, the views had ticked up to 9. And I was like, huh. That meant somebody watched that video at least 7 times. Not they replayed it. That means they clicked the link 7 times. So I was like, oh, okay. That's cool, that's fine. I didn't think nothing was gonna happen about it. Then people started coming in to the store, and then when I was at other stores, and whispers were going out, oh, they lost their Yu-Gi-Oh status. They lost Yu-Gi-Oh status. What happened? I don't know. And from what I heard, this card's hearsay, what I heard is the owner or whoever was in charge was mad about it. The thing is, when you sign up with these companies, you have to read the contract. This is a business contract now. Because they violated it, and I showed 100% proof that they violated it. They lost that ability. Because if you're ripping off the community will bite back. Now, for those who, if that was the only place you could play, I am sorry, you were casual damage. There are a lot of stores in the upstate area. You can still technically play, but I'm sorry. If you go to OTS store as a consumer, there's a certain level of professionalism that Konami wanted to have, and that was not being kept. And people go, oh, you're going out your way. Why would you do this? Y'all do realize Konami is a publicly traded company. You could be a shareholder too. That's what you want to do. So any company that I hold shares in, which is a lot, if there's something screwing over that company, you're messing with my money. You're messing with my money, I'm going to do what I can to stop you messing with money. So that's why that store is no longer an OTS. So while we're talking about OTSs, I am going to now explain the situation where Corner Magic's OTS was attempted to be taken away. And I'm gonna explain why that did not happen.